All right. So you sent in a mountain of research on fintech trends.
Seems like you're really trying to get ahead of the game, huh? How technology's changing money, banking, investing, even the concept of money itself.
Yeah, we're going to be diving deep today. Buckle up, by the way, because we've got AI that can detect fraud just by the way you hold your phone. Blockchain going way beyond just Bitcoin. Even smart fridges that can order your groceries.
I know, right? It's crazy how all these trends are kind of merging together, isn't it? Like, we're seeing this huge shift towards a financial system that's more digital,
Okay.
more personal, and way more accessible than ever before.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to uncover. Let's kick things off with a trend that's already making huge waves. The rise of those digital-only banks.
The neobanks.
Yeah, the neobanks. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Who wants to stand in line at a physical bank these days?
Nobody. And that's why these neobanks like Chime, Revolut, and N26, they're attracting millions of users globally, especially younger folks.
Especially younger folks, right? They're all about convenience, low fees, and those easy-to-use apps that make managing your money actually, well, kind of fun.
Yeah, they're making finance feel less like a chore, for sure.
For sure. And it's not just about the slick apps either. These neobanks are using data to personalize the whole banking experience in ways traditional banks just can't.
Now, that's where it gets really interesting. We're not just talking about, like, basic personalized recommendations based on your spending. Some banks are going way further, using behavioral biometrics to analyze how you interact with your device, you know?
What, really?
Yeah, like your typing speed, how you swipe, even the angle you hold your phone.
No way!
All to improve security, basically.
Wait, so they can actually tell if it's me using my phone even if someone steals my password?
Exactly. It's about adding those extra layers of protection, right? And it goes hand in hand with all the other ways banks are fighting fraud these days, particularly through artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Right, AI is having a huge impact, not just in security, but across the board. Our sources are highlighting how AI is changing the way lending and investment decisions are made, too.
It's kind of mind-blowing how AI can sift through massive amounts of data, identify patterns and assess risks in ways that we humans just can't. Like, take credit scores, for example.
Yeah, good example.
AI can go way beyond your traditional credit score, like factoring in things like social media activity, online behavior, even psychometric data to build a much more complete picture of your financial profile.
So it's not just about your FICO score anymore. It's about, like, understanding the whole context of your financial life.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's interesting. But doesn't this also raise some concerns about, like, data privacy and potential bias in these algorithms?
Absolutely. Those are really important things to consider, for sure. We need to find that balance between using the power of AI while making sure things are fair and transparent, But AI's influence goes beyond just individual financial decisions. It's also transforming how institutions operate.
Oh, totally. One area where this is becoming super clear is fraud detection. Just imagine. AI analyzing thousands of transactions every second, catching those shady patterns that human analysts might miss. That's a game changer, right?
For sure. It's like having a superpowered detective always watching over your accounts. And it's not just about reacting to fraud after it happens. AI can actually help prevent it by spotting vulnerabilities and predicting potential risks.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we've got AI revolutionizing things. But speaking of shaking things up, let's talk blockchain. And no, we're not going down that Bitcoin rabbit hole.
Right. There's so much more to blockchain than just cryptocurrency.
Exactly. The real potential of blockchain lies in its ability to change how we interact and transact with each other. Think about those smart contracts.
Oh, yeah.
Agreements that automatically execute themselves when certain conditions are met, like cutting out the need for lawyers and middlemen and all that.
Right, exactly.
That could simplify so many things. And it's not just some futuristic concept either. Decentralized finance, or DeFi as they call it. It's already using these smart contracts to create a whole new financial system that operates outside of traditional banks.
It's basically allowing people to take part in all kinds of financial activities directly without needing a bank or a middleman.
Wow. It sounds incredibly empowering, but also kind of risky, right?
I got it. DeFi is still mostly unregulated, and there are definitely some risks involved. You really got to understand those risks before jumping in. But the innovation happening in that space, it's undeniable.
It really is. Okay, so we've got AI changing the game, blockchain creating entirely new financial systems, and up next we'll explore how the way we pay for things is being totally transformed too. Think contactless payments going global, and even governments getting in on the digital currency action. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were in the thick of things talking about blockchain. But let's switch gears a bit and talk about something a little closer to home. Something you probably already have in your pocket. I'm talking contactless payments.
Yeah. The pandemic really sped things up when it came to digital wallets and contactless transactions. It's pretty amazing how quickly we all got used to it.
I know, right? I barely remember using cash anymore. But it's not just about convenience. I mean, these fintech companies are actually using these technologies to revolutionize how we move money across borders, too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about sending money internationally. It used to be so slow and expensive and a total headache. But now some companies are using blockchain to offer almost instant settlements and way lower fees for international payments. That's a huge deal for global businesses and, well, anyone sending money overseas, really. And then you've got this whole other thing. Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. It's wild to think about governments issuing their own digital versions of their currencies.
Yeah, the CBDCs are definitely something to keep an eye on. They could potentially make things more efficient, make transactions more secure, maybe even give financial services to people who don't even have bank accounts right now.
Right. But of course, there are those concerns about privacy and control, things that definitely need to be addressed.
For sure.
So while we're on the topic of disrupting traditional systems, let's talk about another trend that's giving people more control: open banking. It's all about letting those third-party apps access your financial data, with your permission, of course, to provide better insights and services.
It's really about putting consumers in charge of their own data. Imagine having all your accounts, even from different banks, all organized in one single app. Or being able to quickly compare different financial products from a bunch of providers just with a few clicks.
It's like breaking down all those walls between the different financial places and giving you a much clearer view of your whole financial picture. And this is all possible because of those APIs, right?
Yeah, exactly. They act like those digital messengers between all the different platforms.
Interesting. But with all this sharing going on, how do we make sure our data is actually secure? And how do we keep companies from misusing it?
Those are valid concerns, no doubt. Having strong security measures, clear regulations, and building trust with consumers, those are all crucial for open banking to really work. It's a tricky balance.
For sure. So speaking of giving power back to the people, let's talk about another interesting trend: peer-to-peer lending platforms. It's kind of like cutting out the middleman, the banks, and letting people lend money to each other directly.
Yeah, and it's good for both sides, really. Borrowers might get lower interest rates, and lenders might see bigger returns compared to just a regular savings account.
But I imagine there are risks involved too, right?
Yeah. Of course, like with any investment, there's always that risk of not getting paid back. And because this is all pretty new, the rules are still being figured out. But P2P lending has definitely opened up new ways to borrow and invest outside of those traditional systems.
It's amazing how technology is making financial services so much more accessible to everyone. And this actually leads us to another area where we're seeing a ton of innovation: the world of investing. With all those robo-advisors and social trading platforms popping up, investing is becoming easier to understand and, well, user-friendlier than ever before.
Yeah, robo-advisors use algorithms to create personalized investment portfolios based on your risk tolerance and what your financial goals are. They're basically making professional investment management available to way more people, often for much cheaper than a traditional financial advisor.
So you don't need to be some Wall Street whiz to get started.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you've got those social trading platforms where you can learn from other investors, see what they're doing, follow their trades, and even copy their strategies. It's like, social media, but for investing.
It's a cool way for people to learn from each other, tap into the hive mind, sort of.
Yeah.
But it's really important to remember that just because someone did well in the past doesn't mean they'll do well in the future, right?
Yeah, right.
Just blindly following someone else's trades can be pretty risky.
Definitely. You always have to do your own research and understand the risks involved. But, overall, I think these platforms are making investing less scary for people who are just getting started, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So with all these new tools and possibilities popping up, it seems like having a good grasp of personal finance is more important now than ever before.
Couldn't agree more. It can be really overwhelming to try and figure out the world of finance, especially with how fast things are changing. That's why financial education is so important. People need the knowledge and skills to make smart decisions about their money.
Right. And luckily, technology is actually making financial literacy more accessible. There are all kinds of online resources, courses, and apps now that teach everything from basic budgeting to investment strategies. And they do it in a way that's actually engaging and easy to understand.
It's a far cry from those boring textbooks we used to have.
Totally. And it's not just for adults either. There are tons of great resources out there made just for kids and teens, teaching them about saving, investing, and making good financial choices from a young age.
You know what they say? It's never too early to start learning about money.
That's right.
I mean, these kids are growing up in a world where finance is all digital and connected. They're going to need the right tools to navigate it all.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about learning the basics either. The world of finance never stands still, so it's important to keep learning.
Absolutely. Stay curious, keep exploring, and be open to new ways of thinking about money and finance. That's how you stay ahead of the curve.
That's a great point. Speaking of staying ahead of the curve, we've talked a lot about how technology is empowering individuals. But we can't forget about the bigger picture here. How is all of this impacting financial inclusion? Making sure everyone has access to these services.
That's a really important point. For a long time, many people have been left out of the traditional financial systems, but Fintech is changing that. And one of the most powerful tools for financial inclusion is, you guessed it, mobile technology.
It's pretty incredible how something like a simple mobile phone can open up so many possibilities. Think about things like mobile wallets, micro-lending platforms, even mobile banking services that let people send and receive money without ever setting foot in a bank.
This is especially important in developing countries where traditional banking is really limited. Mobile technology is bridging the gap, connecting people to financial services, and letting them be part of the global economy.
That's amazing. But even in developed countries, there's still people who aren't being served well by the traditional banks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's where fintech companies are stepping in to fill those gaps, offering alternatives that are more affordable and easier to use.
Like those neobanks we talked about earlier. They're often designed with inclusivity in mind. They usually don't require a minimum balance. They have user-friendly interfaces and features that are tailored to the needs of people who might not have had access to traditional banking before.
I see. So it's not just about basic banking either. Fintech is making it easier for people to build credit, invest, and plan for their financial future, no matter their background or how much money they make.
It's really exciting to see how technology is leveling the playing field and creating a more inclusive system. There are still challenges, for sure, but the progress is undeniable.
Absolutely. Now, while we're talking about the bigger picture, there's another aspect of this whole tech shift that we should talk about. The infrastructure that's making all of this innovation possible. We've mentioned the cloud a few times, but it's really playing a huge role in this whole fintech revolution.
It really is. Cloud computing has basically become the backbone of modern fintech. It lets companies grow their operations, offer new services, and reach people all over the world in ways that we just couldn't have imagined before.
It's like having this massive, flexible data center right at your fingertips, but without the huge upfront cost of traditional IT infrastructure.
And it's not just about storage. The cloud is powering those AI and machine learning algorithms that are changing how financial decisions are made, enabling real-time data analysis, predictive modeling, and all those personalized experiences for customers.
It's amazing how the cloud is driving all of this and making it affordable too.
Yeah. But of course, there are challenges that come with it too. When you're dealing with sensitive financial data, security and privacy are super important. Fintech companies need to be absolutely sure that their cloud solutions are strong, secure, and meet the highest standards.
Absolutely. Trust is everything in finance. Maintaining that trust requires transparency, strong security, and ethical data practices.
It's an ongoing discussion, for sure, but it's one we need to keep having as we explore the potential of the cloud in finance. Finding that balance between innovation and keeping sensitive data safe is crucial.
Well said. So we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive, from digital-only banks and AI-powered fraud detection to blockchain's potential to shake things up, the rise of open banking and P2P lending. It's clear that technology is changing every part of finance at an incredible pace.
And we've seen how fintech is giving people more control, expanding access to financial services, and creating a system that's more inclusive and innovative for everyone.
But there's one more piece to this puzzle. We've talked about the tools, the trends, and the impact on the industry. But what does all this mean for you, the listener? How can you navigate this crazy, fast-changing world and use the power of fintech to reach your own financial goals?
That's the big question, isn't it? We've given you a lot to think about. What insights will you take away from all of this? How will you apply what you've learned to your own financial journey?
We've really gone deep on all these fintech trends, huh? Neobanks, AI, blockchain, even the cloud. Tech's changing finance so fast it makes your head spin. But before we wrap things up completely, I want to talk about what all this means for, well, you.
Yeah, it's easy to get excited about all this shiny new tech stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about how it affects real people, their lives.
Exactly. We've thrown a lot of information at you today, but now it's time to really connect the dots. What stood out to you the most?
Take a second to think about it. Was it the potential of AI to make your financial decisions more personal? Or maybe how blockchain could lead to a more transparent, even a fairer financial system? Maybe you were drawn to the whole financial inclusion thing, how tech can bring in those who've been left out in the past.
Yeah, good point.
Whatever really clicked for you, I hope you keep digging into these topics. The future of finance is being shaped right now, and you can be a part of it.
I love that. But before we go, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. With all these changes happening so fast, what skills do you think will be absolutely essential for navigating this whole new world of finance?
That's the question, isn't it? Obviously, tech skills are important, but I think it goes deeper than that.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about things like critical thinking, being adaptable, having a willingness to keep learning throughout your life.
You nailed it. Things in finance are changing so fast, the ability to learn new stuff, unlearn old stuff, and relearn everything. That's going to be key.
It's not even just about chasing the latest trend. It's more about having a mindset that's open to change, that sees opportunity when things get disrupted.
And remember, you don't have to figure all this out on your own. There are tons of resources out there to help. Online courses, communities, even financial advisors. There are options.
For sure.
So there's one thing to take away from all this. It's that the future of finance. It's exciting, it's constantly changing, and it's being shaped by technology in ways we couldn't have dreamed of just a few years ago.
The important thing is to stay curious, stay in the loop, and stay engaged. Because one thing's for certain, the future of finance, it's going to be anything but boring.
Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it useful, thought-provoking, maybe even got you a little fired up about the possibilities.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep asking those questions. Because ultimately, the future of finance, it's in your hands.